Police Academy 2, their first assignment. This is very crude and very sketchy feeling. It takes a very long time for any actual plot to turn up. In fact, I would say it takes an hour before the bad guys become significant. It's really just a string of sketches. And the problem is, and this is also relevant to part 3, parts 2 and 3 are both directed by Jerry Paris, and I don't think he's a very good director. I think one of his problems, and maybe it's also to do with the script, the scenes struggle to have a punchline or to have a climax, and so it feels very bitty, a bunch of sketches that don't really have a satisfying endpoint to it. So scene after scene after scene with unsatisfying climaxes, and it just doesn't quite go together very well. So when I watched part 4 with a new director, and those scenes had a more, they just kind of flowed into each other better. It was a much smoother movie, a much smoother viewing experience. Makes me think that the director of this just wasn't very good at editing, couldn't really put a endpoint on his scenes very well. The director of number 4 comes in and he can give a climax to a scene to make a scene feel satisfying in and of itself. And the sketches, because a lot of the scenes are basically just sketches that don't really advance the plot forward in a significant manner. They're really just a joke, a situation. So anyway, 2 and 3 suffer from that, and I think the second one just isn't very strong. There's really only one effective comedy scene in the movie, and that's Milser with the super glue in his hair. That scene was funny, and I think that was about it. It's just too many anticlimaxes to the scenes. No strong punchlines to the scenes, and it's just not very well put together. And it takes about 60 minutes for the gang led by Zed to become significant, and Mahoney goes undercover and it's all dealt with in the last 15 minutes of the movie, and the action climax is not very good. The structure of the Police Academy movies has pretty much always been 60 minutes of random sketches and then an action climax, and I think this has a weak action climax. Mahoney going undercover to deal with the gang is just too little too late to make the film feel less bitty and more like a proper joined up story. I would give Police Academy 2 3.5 out of 10. To call it below average is to be generous. To call it bad is to be harsh. So I think somewhere in between.